Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 8 of the Eternal Backlog Podcast. How you doing? I'm Nomad.
Oh, and I'm Shady Armic. Question is, how are you doing by the looks of it?
We're doing very well here. It's a Friday. We've had a few weeks of not really having a tipple, and I thought tonight seemed ripe for a tipple, so I am kicking back with a few heinies this evening. We've got an absolute Bobby Dazzler episode for you, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, the highlight clips will also be steamrolling out. Now, if you're listening to the podcast episode right now, I want to know where you're from, and I want to know what's your favourite game. Let's prove right here that you are watching this podcast, and drop us a comment in the comment section. We want to know that it's not AI bots all over the place. It's
like
just
our ex-followers.
Oh my goodness, X is absolutely ridiculous with that.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You pay a premium, they can't even cut the bots out.
Well, I'm gonna chuck in our top tip of the week. If you're looking for talent in your local area, go to our followers list on X, and I'm sure you'll find something in there for you. I'm
sure you'll find something pretty decent with a paywall behind their profiles. There's usually got some peach or something, and there's an emoji.
Yep.
On their profile lists, or quotes from a Tolkien novel.
The drip icon.
Yep, indeed. Indeed. So, how have you been? Because we've had, since the last episode, which we're back on a bit more of a schedule, the world is just coming to... The world's on fire. The world is 100% on fire. We've had an assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. At, where was that again? Can you remember?
Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania. Then we had, that was just madness in its own. You think that would fill the news stories for a month. It didn't.
It's not enough.
It made the headlines for about 4 days, and then it stopped. Because now we've had Joe Biden step down in the US, and to be replaced by Kamala Harris. So all sorts of stuff happening in the United States, and
trying so hard to not react right now.
it's madness. Then we had last Friday the biggest IT outage in world history, with the Crowdstrike outage that basically was 24%. Because I was doing some stuff for work on this, 24% of enterprise users use Crowdstrike worldwide, and so that's how many people got impacted by it. And of course, they were trying to put an update in through the Windows 11 device. So if you're on Mac, you're fine. You were fine, baby, on the Mac. Didn't even know nothing was going wrong.
They laughed at me for years when I said Mac was better. Now I'm here still saying that same ish.
Exactly. And I tell you what as well, Crowdstrike should have played a real, they should have come out, they should have apologised, they should have been very sincere about the situation. They shouldn't have offered compensation to what they did. Did you hear about this?
I did.
$10 Uber Eats voucher as an apology, and then the codes didn't even work when people went to use them.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the codes did not work.
Oh, so they just go onto an online generator website and just pump out a few thousand codes or something?
I don't know, but what a kick in the teeth. That I wouldn't even like to think what their stock price is going to be Monday morning this week or whatever. So they had that happening. Then today, Alec Baldwin. Do you remember his shooting incident?
On Rust,
he got acquitted of that. So that's been something that's happened. And then today, as we mentioned that I went to Paris earlier this year, well, the oblivious and obvious happened, because 3 of the major routes into the Olympics via train have all been sabotaged, and nobody can get into Paris via train right now as time of record. So everything is lighting up. And
I still remember the days of when London had the Olympics, and we went mad over the Olympic lanes.
Yeah.
And that was a tough time, but to see Paris practically shut down makes our Olympic lanes look amazing by comparison.
Well, it looks like that opening ceremony was pretty rubbish as well, compared to what happened in London.
They haven't got the Spice Girls over there, have they? So
haven't got Boris Johnson coming down on a parachute.
Yeah. Or James Bond, but they got Tintin, or no, Tintin's Belgian, I think.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
I don't know. Not really my bag. I find the Olympics boring. I just can't.
Just the opening ceremony and the closing ceremony, that's enough for me.
Not even the Lycra's doing it for me.
No.
So, no, not really.
Change of materials, not as reflective on the 4K cameras.
I don't know. I wouldn't like to be whoever's got to clean them up afterwards. Anyway, so that's what's been happening over the last couple of weeks on the current affairs schedule. And we've got a stonker of an episode here for you. And I don't know where to start because I want to start again for a sec. Well, no, let's start with a bit of the play stack, just because there's some interesting nuggets here that I especially want to go into. And we mentioned one of our highlights from Summer Game Fest, the announcements coming out. I think it was prior to that, actually. I think it might have been the secondary Xbox showcase. Stampede Racing Royale. We called it out as a game that should be worth putting on your watch list. It's now out in early access on Xbox, and I had a chance to play that. So this is the 60-player Racing Royale based kart racer, and it's free to play. So that puts the red flags there slightly. But actually, for a free-to-play racer, it's the best one currently out there. And there's Kart Drift. There's a few others that exist on the Xbox ecosystem at the moment. Is it a Mario Kart beater? No, it's not. But it's got potential here. It's quite, there's been some enjoyable segments playing this particular game. And the way it works, I don't know whether you've played what's it called? Stumble Guys. So it's an eliminator. So it's like a 4 or 5 round eliminator system. So you start off with 60 players in a lobby, and then eventually, as per track, it goes and whittles itself down. And I think like the last race is down to about 8 competitors or something like that. So that was quite a nice methodology. There was the track rotation. I think it's going to be interesting. I was getting a lot of tracks I'd already raced every time I entered like a 5 round. So I'm hoping they'll add more tracks to the game. Is the track design anything mind-blowing, out of this world, interesting worlds and environments? I've seen it all before in other games. It feels very Mod Nation racery in terms of its aesthetics and the way it looks. But it was enjoyable. The physics of the car felt good. There's some sections in it where things just slow down. It's not the karts aren't fast enough. Unless you're continually using the boosts, there are sections on these tracks which feel really slow, like unusually slow. And that's kind of a little bit off-putting. That would be my biggest criticism of the game so far. But it's got legs. It's interesting. I think it could do well. There's a whole heap of cosmetic updates for your avatar that you can do. A big chunk of them are unlockable just through in-game currency. And the matches seem stable. But again, it's one of these weird ones that... It's one of these games where when I was playing Stumble Guys, I often wondered, am I playing people online? Or am I being tricked that I'm playing people online? It's one of these weird ones where you'll play it and you'll go, hang on, I'm winning this by a country mile here. In some places. So
that was mainly the element that I wanted to know about, and I'm glad you played it because I didn't even know it was out on preview. How is it online in terms of the level of chaos? Because on paper, 60 karts in a race just sounds stupid. It looked fun, but I didn't know in practice how that would turn out. Does it play better than it sounds?
Well, I think the modes that were coming up for me whilst I was playing it is there is none of that. So if you're colliding with another kart, there is pass through, or it feels like. But if you are actually, firing weapons at them, obviously you take them out. So it's not like it's direct collision to collision detection between the karts themselves. So that takes some of the chaos out of it.
I suppose though, but do you actually get to race, or is it just constant? I get hit with a missile.
No, you get to race. I mean, I can go, a lap and a half, 2 laps sometimes without getting taken out once. There's no feeling of like rubber banding effect. I know you're not. Well, I mean, I'm assuming I'm playing people online because no one's a voice chat. There's no voice chat support. It's just that, like a lot of games now.
Do you really want 60 players on a voice chat?
I don't want 60 players on the voice chat. It'd be good to hear a couple of people. Like even if it's like zonal detected, like if someone goes past you, you can hear them on the mic or something like that.
So like the sort of 5 people in front, 5 people behind.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea, actually. I like that. I just thought 60 people all yelling at the mic at once. I mean, Call of Duty lobby is already as racist as hell. I mean, I can only imagine what it's like on this.
But just some semblance of life, because I can't prove it, but I could swear that not all of those characters... I mean, and the gamer tags look legit. You didn't have, like, one-word races or something immediately obvious. But I just thought some of the racing from other races... So unless it's bringing in a really young market to play this game, and perhaps you're not seeing that nuance of someone that knows how to play these games well, or I was just putting really entry-based lobbies, and actually I'm well above what I should be for my entry rank, and I'm actually playing people that don't play races that often. So
it sounds like Mario Kart still reigns as top king of the hill. The real question is, though, it's the all-important question, how does it compare to All-Star Fruit Racing?
Oh, it's better. I mean, it's not hard to be better, is it? Do you know I booted that up the other half was...
Why do you keep going back to it?
I don't know. I noticed as well...
Aesthetically, it's nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the better races on the Xbox, the kart racers list that exist, at least.
We keep dumping on it for some reason. Don't know why.
I don't know. It's you get to a certain point in that game where the AI feels unfair.
It doesn't feel fast enough though.
No, I will say this: that racing game, the fruit racing, feels a bit faster than Stampede at times.
Really?
Yeah, it's so weird how the deceleration happens on this game, and I'm hoping Curve fix it, because if they can do that, it changes the dial on that game completely. It's just weird that it goes from feeling pace, and then all of a sudden you come off a boost on a straight. It's mainly on a straight you notice it, and you're like, this is taking ages to get round to this corner. There's no feeling of speed at all. Strategically though, this game does offer quite a bit. I would say it's got drifting, it's got like jump drifts and things that you expect kind of from a kart racer. I think if you want to be good and regularly score high and into the top rounds on this, it's about learning and failing on the tracks, because some of these tracks have, I call them shortcuts. Are they short? Well, technically they are, maybe by a couple of hundredths of a second, or half a second or something like that, where if you take the specific route on a track, you will get that slight advantage on the field. And then tracks can, between laps 1 to 3, there might be some obstacles in the way on like lap 3 or things like that to change it up. So it's not like it's a straight vanilla kart racer not offering much other than the track design. It's trying to do a few different things there. But yeah, I think it's, in terms of all the kart races that come out through this cycle, and also the Xbox One cycle, and both PS4 and PS5, this has been the strongest kart racer that's come out that isn't from people you expect to be amazing kart racers. So for me, I like it more than Mod Nation Racers, which has probably been the nearest thing to ever compete with Mario Kart. And it's definitely worth going into. But here's the big but. Until they actually introduce achievements, it's going to be difficult to get you on board. Because it's in early access, those achievements do not exist as things currently stand. So rather, bit of a deep dive into Stampede, but it is a new game, and I thought it was worth going into that. Let's drop on one of yours.
Yeah, let me ask you a quick question then. So, obviously, Mario Kart is just phenomenal, generally speaking. And every other kart racer that tends to come out tries to kind of replicate the success of Mario Kart.
Yeah.
What would you say the next evolution of a kart racer would be? Because we've got the drifting, that's kind of perfected. We've got the jumps, the shortcuts, the power-ups, the weapons. We've got the cartoony, aesthetics. What's really left? Like, how can we evolve kart racers?
I think you can evolve.
Everyone's been kind of chasing that high of Mario Kart, but we've never really gotten past that. It just feels like we're kind of recycling
at the moment,
the idea.
Customization on these kart races give you no advantage.
No, it's just skins.
And I think that if you start playing around with terrain, so muddy tracks or things like that, where you're incentivized to go in and maybe you could imagine like Banjo and Kazooie nuts and bolts or something, where you're playing around with these different tires. That it's not Gran Turismo level deep, but you're playing around with certain things that perhaps
like presets.
Or perhaps you've got like spiky tires and your track actually has something where those tires can grip up a certain part of a level that could give you a shortcut or an alternative route. But on a straight, it might not be as quick as a slick tire.
I see what you mean. Kart customization. So, because I was going to say, actually, when you initially started mentioning that thought, I was going to counter that by saying, well, Mario Kart does do a lot of environmental stuff where there are large sections of Mario Kart 8 that you're on a glider. There's like 1 or 2 levels where you're on a glider for a good 20 seconds or so. And then we've got the typical ice levels and shortcuts and hairpins and stuff like that. But I think you've got a good point. There'll have to be some very careful rules around this, because the last thing you want is someone picking the wrong tire and then for the four-match cup, they're at a constant disadvantage. So you've got to be able to adjust these things between races. But no, I think that's very interesting.
I think one of the things as well is, will it slow the pacing down of going through an online cup if you were to do that? And the only other idea that I thought of was if there was an ability in a kart racer to do some form of terraforming. So say if one of the power-ups was
like a digger,
it terraforms the map somehow, where it, makes the track deform. I don't know. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that they could do with it.
You know what I'm sort of ready for? To leave karts behind. Let's go complete airborne, I think Diddy Kong Racing did this very well on the N64. There was a couple of great airborne levels where you were just racing in planes and jets and propeller planes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that felt fun, because then you've got not only the left and right to be, conscious of, but you've got the up and down.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I would love to see. It's never going to happen. I don't know why I keep
Diddy Kong
wishing for another one. I think Rare was I
think we need to get a Banjo-Kazooie before that day ever happens. There are people out there that still want a Banjo-Kazooie. I have a battle with this question. Do I want a Banjo-Kazooie?
I was never that bothered about the last one, to be honest. I wasn't even bothered about Yooka-Laylee.
Oh, Yooka-Laylee! I forgot about that. I love Yooka-Laylee. That was great.
Oh, did you see the announcement that they're remastering that?
What's to remaster? It's not an old game.
Well, they're making the graphics sharper and putting in ambient lighting and all of the, ray tracing and all this other stuff in it.
Cool. There's nothing wrong with the game. All right, there you go. Top tip.
So what's one on your list then? Have we finally ticked off? Are we done in the other DLC?
We done Dead Island. 100% the main game and DLC. I was stuck on one of the bosses on the Solar DLC pack for a while, about a week or two. Really annoying last boss, but finally got through it. Love the game. Kind of hoping there's one more DLC that comes under the season pass. I've heard rumors, but I'm not sure. But for now, it's uninstalled. Got myself 70 odd gig back, which is nice for a certain game that got released recently. We'll talk about soon. But yeah, that's done. So I've gone back into Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga collection. And I'm still going through the NES version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I mentioned this on the last episode. That's a hard game. And we've got the quick saving in these, bundle collections now. And I'm just wondering, and I had a friend, how the hell did he, because he finished it, and I was sat next to him as he finished. How the hell did he finish this game without the quick saving sort of cheat? Not a cheat, but you know what I mean, advantage. It's a really hard game. Those NES platformers are really hard.
Do you think some of this is down to... Because we've seen a degrading in difficulty in games and more hand-holding over the years. It just seems to get worse and worse in places, with the exception of things now, of course, like Dark Souls-like.
I think it's not... I think the older games are harder, not because of the lack of hand-holding. I mean, that does play a part of it to some degree, but I think it's more to do with the technological issues, I suppose. What I find with a lot of NES platformers, the character, for example, if you're standing on a ledge, will tend to fall off the ledge even before the floor graphic has you've passed the floor, if that makes sense. You'll go through the edge of the floor. So you never really know where the edge of the... I mean, if you've got a floor that stops here, and your character's walking along this floor and it falls here, you know, that's not... it's an unfair advantage. So you tend to find games like, was it Bart Simpson versus the Space Mutants? That was a really good example of how bad that platforming is. And Turtles has a lot of that to some degree. There's these little jumping sections you'll have to jump on a single block, and if you're slightly off the center of that block, even though you're standing on pixels, it will go right through. Yeah, so it's a lot of annoying things like that. And then the swimming bomb levels, you'll touch the electric coral, even though you're not sort of near it. You're good 10 pixels away from it. Somehow it gets you. And I'm actually stuck on one of those sections right now. So I don't know how I'm going to get through it, to be honest.
So if you save stated it right before?
I have. I've done the open world part. It's taken me to another open world part where I've got to get to the blimp. And I go in the sewer, and there's this little contraption made of magnets. And for some reason, I cannot jump over the electromagnetic field. There's just no way to jump over. But what sucks is the way the game works is you've got all 4 turtles to choose from. And when a turtle dies, it's permadeath for that turtle, unless you find the turtle somewhere in the open world, which is very rare. So all of my 4 turtles have 1 bar of health left out of like a 10 bar meter. So I can't... I'd be happy to kind of take a few hits to get to the exit and then replenish on the other side. But I can't do that. I'm losing my turtles as I go through. So I don't know. Have I saved it in a really bad spot? And it's only 1 save slot as well.
Oh, is there? Oh, shit.
So I've got to figure that out. It's I don't know if I'm going to get through that, to be honest.
Oh shit. Well, you have to give us an update.
Yep.
So whether you get through that on the next episode itself. I tell you what, I want you to I want to get your thoughts, because I've not put it on this list, but technically we did, because we had a little session on it. So I said about, bearing in mind I recommended X Defiant.
I keep falling for your traps.
No, but you haven't. I don't think you've had the full taste of what Splitgate can offer yet. But what did you think on that?
It worked, which is a big plus.
Yeah,
you know that, and that's the main issue I had with X Defiant. No, you can actually get kills, and the deaths that you experience appear fair.
Yeah,
you know, I only played about half an hour of it with yourself.
Yeah,
but it does lack a lot of polish, and I want to say fluidity. It does feel a bit stiff at times. But that game really was picked up in a time of need where X Defiant wasn't cutting the mustard.
Yeah.
But now I don't think I need to play Splitgate for obvious reasons.
I'll still be playing Splitgate.
If you've seen the thumbnail, you know why.
Yes, and we will get onto that shortly. I've got to talk about Descenders. This happened by a happy accident, by the way. So the other half was watching telly. I cracked it open on the Steam Deck, playing it over Xbox Cloud, and fell into this fantastic downhill mountain bike racing game, procedurally generated, really, really nicely executed game, and I just got hooked by it. It's a very, very cleverly designed, procedurally generated game. Now, I wouldn't say every track is procedurally generated. I think your layouts and runs are, so you get this map. Basically, so for instance, like Forest is one of the worlds, and you have to make your way across this zone of different, tracks which are different disciplines. It could be like steep downhill mountain bike. It could be a stunts level. It could be a particular race level or something like that. And you have to make your way over to the mini boss level before the sun dies down. So otherwise you basically lose your progress. You've spent too long trying to get past the level. Each level itself has a bonus objective. If you complete that, you get an extra health bar. And you start with about 3 health bars. And if you fail those 3 health bars, it's game over. You've got to start all over again. So there's a risk-reward system with this game, which is really good. I think what's impressed me so much about it is the physics. These are the best mountain biking physics I've ever seen in a video game before. The music is absolutely fantastic if you love a bit of drum and bass and a bit more of that sort of house techno type of thing. You're going to love the soundtrack on this. But what took this game into another level for me, and which for some reason, Ubisoft couldn't execute with Riders Republic, was the first-person camera. Trying to complete these tracks in first-person view, the sense of speed on this game is incredible. You get that first-person, it feels like you're almost there if it wasn't for the graphics. I would love to see them do a sequel, because this game needs some graphical love. The graphics aren't great.
Who developed Descenders?
Oh gosh, without looking it up.
It's not a Ubisoft published game, is it?
No, it's not an Ubisoft. I think it's like some independent.
I've been burnt by Steep so bad that I don't. Whenever I see a sports game or snowboarding or a bike game, it just immediately my mind goes to Steep and how badly executed that was.
Now you could tell this is probably more indie dev based, but there's a lot of love put into this, and I hope they bring a second one out. And the achievements as well are really nicely thought out. Like there's always something in there in that list that you'll want to keep going back, chipping away. Some of them are reputation point based. Some of them are you've got to make your way through the end of the stages. Some of them are actually completing certain. So the mini boss levels have what I would call a big feature. So the first opening one, you've got what looks like the bridge from the Harry Potter movie with the train going over it, that type of thing. And you've got to jump over it and land that huge jump, which requires a bit of skill to get it done. And there's like a certain achievement for that. And it's got online multiplayer as well. So
I'm noticing something here. You start talking about the achievements, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's got co-op as well." And I'm like, "Listen, you already burnt me with X-Define. They still owe me a 200G achievement. And at some point, I'm going to cash in and reinstall that just to get that achievement."
But it was good. It's nice to get a little surprise like that. I've seen it on GamePass for ages, and I really hope the developers of this go back and do a second one and maybe use Unreal 5. Because if they can do, especially the Woodlands map, just going through the woods at high speed and having those real close moments of bashing into a tree and these it's the closest you can see to like a GoPro level experience with decent physics, unlike Riders Republic, to an experience. And there's loads of people playing it online. I think it's got a bit of a cult following, this game. So
interesting.
It'd be nice to get a second.
I did quite like the mountain biking in GTA 5, especially after they added the update where you could go into first person. It did give it a new spin on things. But who knows? Maybe I'll delve back into it once GTA 6 finally comes out. You know what I realized yesterday?
Yeah.
Since the trailer got announced, it's been a year. And everyone was like, "Oh my god!"
It would be, wouldn't it? It's coming up to it. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, it's going to come out in 2025. It's almost a year. Got a year left. We should be getting trailer 2 any day now, really.
Gamescom maybe.
Rockstar don't comply with the rest of the industry though. They'll do it when they feel like it.
Do you think it's coming out this year? Not this year. Next year.
Next
sorry.
year.
Yeah.
See, this is what I literally was just thinking about. I don't know. I mean, they've had plenty of time, but who's to say when they actually started developing it? Did they restart the project because it wasn't hitting certain notes? There's obviously the whole crunch. There was the hacking and the leak. I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
But they have got a track record of, especially over the last decade, of postponing every game that they've come out with, and there's not been a lot. But Red Dead 2 did get a delay. I think it was about 6 months. GTA 5, did GTA 5 get a delay? God, that's going back to 2014 now.
I can't remember. I mean, I
remember picking.
I'd quite like this to come out when the industry is facing a drought, and we know that it's going to happen at some point. With the layoffs that happen, they always have a lag effect, right? It would be lovely for this to come out when we're just, because it's going to be the only thing that most people are going to play anyway.
Yeah.
So to have it come out during that type of period would be nice. And we just had yesterday, Stalker 2 got delayed.
Oh, did
November. Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that. Okay.
So that's been delayed, and now Xbox are wondering whether to shunt and delay other games because that now congests the field.
Well, there was another, the interesting thing, what was the thing that went out the other day? Cloud, what's the name of it again? Crowdstrike? What's it called again?
Is it something Zero?
No, the Crowdstrike. What was the company? Was it Crowdstrike?
Oh, Crowdstrike.
Crowdstrike.
Yeah.
When that took place, since we're speaking about GTA, apparently there was a hacking/leaking, and they did uncover some internal Rockstar emails to Microsoft.
Oh, really?
Allegedly, Microsoft have dibs on the marketing. They got the marketing deal.
Wow.
So,
really?
Yep. So, especially over the last few weeks, we've been seeing a lot of stories about how insiders at PlayStation and Microsoft have both been saying that we don't have the carte blanche to spend on marketing as much as PlayStation do, and we've even criticized that as well, especially around Hellblade and stuff like that in the past. The fact that Microsoft is going to get dibs on GTA 6 marketing is huge.
Do you think that's perhaps why they are holding back spend?
I mean, to get marketing rights for a game as big as GTA, yeah, you're probably going to have to blow your whole budget and then some on that. I would even say it's probably tens of millions. It has to be.
If they brought out a GTA 6 limited edition
console,
Xbox console, would you go out and buy it?
It'd have to be more than just a skin.
Yeah. Definitely more than a wrap.
The physical shape of the box has to be different. I don't just want a painted box that looks identical to the one I have. Like what they did with the Wolverine and Deadpool controllers, where they put the butt cheeks on the back.
yeah.
And then they got the cloth on the front. Like that level of, tailor.
Different power-up sound.
Yeah.
Power-up button.
Exactly. Yeah. But these things are only as good as the generation is. Right? So once next gen comes out, it all of a sudden becomes irrelevant and no one wants it. It's hard to resell those boxes as well.
True.
So I don't know. I'd rather have if they do come out with a physical edition, which I think they probably will, it's such a big game. The goodies you tend to get with a GTA game are pretty good. I got a lockbox with GTA 4.
Yeah.
And it came with like a bandana, a key ring, an art book. It came with like a CD album as well with a bunch of new hip hop tracks that have never been released. So that was fun. But what would be cool though is if they had like kind of like a Willy Wonka type competition where they said in one of the special edition boxes you'll win 2 tickets to Miami for you and someone, like that level of that'd be amazing.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
That would be nice, and I don't know. I'm looking forward to it when it is officially ready for release. But
is that day
I'm quite happy to wait.
Day one purchase for you?
I think it'll have to be.
Yeah.
The
world's gonna stop it.
Yeah, I did stop myself slightly. I was like, do I want to go back and play 5 again? But then they're not linked, are they? So probably not.
They're never really linked.
Yeah.
But I didn't play the current gen update of 5.
No, I haven't either.
It's on sale for like $15, like about a tenner at the moment. So it's worth it. Campaign's really good.
Yeah. Trevor made it for me.
Trevor absolutely made it. But there was a nice there's a nice part of GTA 5 where you've kind of gotten used to San Andreas, the inner city part of it, and then you have to venture out into the desert. And there's this beautiful drive that you're going from the inner city to the desert for the first time. And then the radio is just playing. There's a little bit of conversation between the two characters in the front seat. And then eventually it stops. And you really just take in that drive and that scenery. And eventually you arrive at Trevor's trailer and it all just breaks loose. But then after a couple of missions, you got to bring Trevor back to the city. So there's this amazing drive going back and thunder starts happening. Like, Rockstar have always done amazingly well whenever you traverse into a new area of the map. Like, there's just something they do that makes you go, whoa. Until this day, that lightning, I've never seen replicated in any game. Like, Sea of Thieves has the best water effects. Lightning, that part of GTA 5 was it for me.
Yeah, not even the earlier Forza Horizon games, no?
Nah, it's close.
Do you not remember that long drive? Was it Forza Horizon 2?
Well, they've all got one. There's like a gauntlet in each of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. What else have you been playing then?
Really quickly, because I picked up Street Fighter 6's World Tour mode again. Oh, that's a hard one to get back into when you've stopped for a while. But more so, Star Wars: The Dark Forces remaster. I picked this one up on sale about a month ago, and God, it brought back some good memories, some good DOS game, wholesome memories, you know?
Yeah.
And so I put about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and this 100%ed it. It wasn't too hard, but it just really recaptured what I loved about FPS games in that day, that era. And it really made me say to myself, you know what? I'm going to go on a bit of a binge. I'm going to do a bunch of old games, and this probably isn't going to help my hard drive space because these old games are only less than a gig each. But I've got Dark Forces Remaster 100%ed. I've got Ion Fury, which is a spiritual successor to Duke Nukem on the same engine. I've got Rise of the Triad sitting on my hard drive. I've got Poed sitting on my hard drive. I've got the Chasm sitting on my hard hard drive right now as well. The classic Doom 1 and 2, which obviously I finished, but I'll probably go through those again on my hard drive. So I might do a bit of an old DOS
marathon
run.
there.
Yeah.
Nice. How does that? So that wasn't the one, because there was another Star Wars game that got completely botched that came out within about 3 or 4 weeks of that game. I can't remember which one it was, but apparently it was a horror story.
I do remember something.
I don't think it was Dark Forces.
No, Dark Forces was really successful. Yeah. They did Dark Forces 2 eventually, but that followed the same pattern as Hexen, where the first game was DOS and the second game went all actual 3D and Windowsy. So there was a bit of like a technology jump where people didn't quite feel like it was a Dark Forces game. But yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I've said it a million times, Night Dive, absolute kings at this. Remastering these old games.
Well, I'm amazed at how many games they're juggling at once. Like, I'm guessing they've got a team. I don't know how big their team is, but it seems that they're working on 3 or 4 at any one time, right?
Well, their crown jewel is the only one I haven't picked up yet, which is System Shock.
Yeah.
So I think once I'm done with the older games, I'll go into the System Shock remake, which is that's going to be a good one.
Nice. I'll finish off my ones here. So I did buy a couple of games, and so Invector Rhythm Galaxy, I picked this one up. So this is very much like what are you laughing at?
If ever I want a list of just weird bloody games, you're the person I'm going to ask.
So I think this is the follow-up, because they brought out an Avicii game before he died, and this is the follow-up game with just general artists. But imagine it being similar to Audio Surf meets Thumper.
Yep, I'm looking at screenshots right now. Yep.
Yeah, so it's an audio-based music game. You just got to be swift with the controls.
Even Aero to some degree.
Yeah. Some decent tracks on there. I think you get like 40 as standard. Nice. I bought it for the Steam Deck, so it just seemed like a perfect little game to have on there. And I found it quite interesting, but it seems like there seems to be not an abundance of additional song packs on this. So I think once I've gone through the base layer game, I've taken a look at the DLC that exists. None of them really appeal to me. But it was nice to get some like high quality audio coming through the cans again. It will never match up to Guitar Hero. I mean, they should go back to the roots. I don't know why they don't just go back to the roots before they started bringing out that reboot of Guitar Hero where the guitar got too sophisticated, and just bring out a fresh... I mean, the controllers hold their value. They're
So,
like...
Is it
super
Activision that owns
expensive.
Guitar Hero?
Yeah.
Huh. If I were Microsoft...
Get it going again. Just get like
know what you
just
could
get
do?
Guitar Hero as a live service.
This is really inappropriate, but I'm going to say it anyway.
What?
If Microsoft really wanted to, they could either bring out a new or remaster a Guitar Hero, since now they've got the Activision rights. But if they really wanted to push the special needs controller, they could with this. Just program the special needs controller to the, what was it, the adaptive
accessibility controller.
That's the one. Yeah, just program it to the guitar strings, and you would sell
Could do.
that thing like hotcakes. Have you seen the price of that thing, by the way?
Oh, it's not cheap, is it?
Well, the
Couple
main
£100, isn't it?
the main base unit is like $70 or something like that. But then for every finger that you want a button or something, you've got to buy add-on. It's like a buy as you go controller, if that makes sense. You buy each individual
modularized.
Yeah, like Lego pieces, and they all stick together depending on your particular disability. But I reckon they could do something with that, to be honest.
Probably. I'd love to see them reboot. I mean, just because you used to be able to plug in your headset into the actual guitar.
Yep.
And you could get, you see the spatial audio, the level of audio we've got now.
Dolby,
You could do something really nice with that.
I'll take it a step further. I mean, we've got Bluetooth headsets now, so that probably won't be necessary.
Yeah.
But bring out a wooden controller guitar.
What, finished oak?
Yep. And I mean, if you want, don't get me wrong, bring out the standard plastic ones so everyone can kind of afford it. But then if you really got those collectors,
Premium one.
Yeah, made by oak that you find in a Bentley or
Get
something
Marshall
like that.
or one of the official guitar partners to do it.
Exactly.
And bring out a stand for it.
Make it a range. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
An actual range of accessories. Hell, a Bluetooth pedal like the Elgato pedal sort of thing.
Yeah.
I reckon they could make a killing off of this. But that'll be
Well,
fun.
I'm surprised they've not double dipped back into it since the 360 was the last release, right?
Yeah, what was the reason? There was some legal reason that killed all of these mutants. Yeah, I think there was. I don't remember what it was, but I remember hearing like...
It's just the licensing issue again.
It's something to do with licensing, but I'll have to dig into it. It was a while ago. But yeah.
Well, there must be some way around it because Ubisoft can bring out their bloody Just Dance games every year. So.
Well, heck, if they found a way to get around Marvel versus Capcom, then I'm sure they can figure out a way to get it. Actually, that's a story we have to...
Oh, is there another update?
There's another update.
Oh, no.
And I'm going to put it on the show notes right now.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay.
Well, whilst you do that, I'll finish off the last game that I played. Well, we've also both of us have bought Crime Boss. If you're wondering, that's going to be the featured game for next episode. We're going to get into that. I don't know how good it's going to be. It looks very Payday.
It's going to
be
better than Extra Fight. That's what I'm thinking for sure, mate.
So that's the next one. And then we might shift things up after that into something perhaps that isn't a full-on shooter, because we've gone very shooter-heavy over the last sort of month.
Yeah.
The last game I played was a complete... like I said, I was on my Steam Deck because the other half had the telly. And I come across a game called Tire Friend. And it was totally free. The guys put it in early access. And it's like a platformer, but you play a rubber tire. And it's
just what I've
actually
always
not bad.
wanted.
But the graphics are gash. They're really bad graphics. It reminds me of slightly better graphics than the game Big Red Racing for DOS.
Oh, I love that game.
It's a great game. Yeah.
I've never met anyone who knows about Big Red Racing.
It's one of my favourite racing games on the DOS.
The UI on the menu was amazing.
Yeah. I remember the bit where you go off the beaten track on Big Red Racing.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a sheep jump mini game.
Yeah. Amazing. God, those are the days. Gamers took risks, or game developers took risks. Right, before we get on to our final game that we both played, a little story that I wanted to just quickly touch on, because we're going to go deep into Modern Warfare 3, as you've already guessed. SVC Chaos, right, so we've I don't know if we're still going through it or we've just wrapped up Evo. And obviously, with every Evo show, there's a bunch of announcements, trailers, characters getting added to every fighting game under the sun. Well, I had a good old vent last week or last episode about Marvel vs. Capcom not coming out on Xbox due to a bunch of reasons. Well, SNK made an announcement, and that is SNK vs. Capcom, also dubbed as SVC Chaos, is also coming out as a remake package.
Yeah.
And again, it's not on Xbox.
Oh,
it's on Switch, Steam, and PlayStation. So
what's the difference between these and that other Marvel collection that is that's a Capcom collection that is the fighting, or I don't know, that is on the store?
Right. So there was a Darkstalkers collection with SF2 Hyper Fighting and a bunch of other Puzzle Fighter and stuff like that. There is no difference. They run the same. So when you boot the game up and you go into the menu systems are identical. It is the same package code, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
What I've been hearing, and I go into detail in the last episode, but it's basically developers have no way to push the code from the dev systems into their pipe, which is then published onto the portal, that me and you as consumers buy. Apparently this is, I don't know if this is true or not, but Microsoft don't support MT Framework, which was the engine or developer kit that is made that they use to build this or up-res it to the newer consoles. Whereas Sony, Nintendo, and Steam obviously still support it. Again, I don't know how true this is or if it's just a marketing deal that Sony have scored big on. But either way, SVC Chaos itself is not a big deal, not as big as the Marvel vs. Capcom. However, what this does is tell us that SNK is now bringing their old games back to the forefront. Now, the big one is Capcom versus SNK. Capcom versus SNK 2. Those are the two big ones. And they're selling each individual game as a separate bundle. So this one's going for $19.99 right now, or £15 in the UK. But if they start one by one bringing these out, and eventually we get to Capcom versus SNK, that's going to be a huge problem. So, I went on a bit of a tirade on X again.
To Sarah Bond? Huh?
Sarah Bond, Matt Booty, Phil Spencer.
Yeah.
This is not okay. We can't go one step forward and get Street Fighter 6 and then, 2 steps back by not getting some of these classics that people have been dying to rebuy. People want to buy them. We're not even asking for this on Game Pass. We want to buy them.
Yeah.
But we can't. It's just
that's interesting because their commitment to game preservation.
And that's the part that makes me think that this has got to be a timed exclusive deal that Sony have put in. Has to be. I fail to believe that a company such as Xbox, who you can run original Xbox games on, current hardware, Xbox 360 games, have open mods with a lot of Bethesda games, Game Pass, which works across cloud, console, and PC.
Yeah.
I just fail to see that how this is a complete oversight. I don't believe it. I think it's a timed exclusive deal.
Do you think Matt Booty or Sarah Bond or anyone will come out and say anything officially on this at some point?
The problem with timed exclusivity deals is no one is allowed to talk about them publicly.
Well, not even the one that loses out on it.
They could say that, but then it's one of those things that even if you're
souring the relationship, maybe
there's that, but it's if you talk about something, you're bringing it to light again, which is it's better to let it die.
Right? Yeah, I see what you mean.
Because if say for example, we got another show, in 2 months from now, Gamescom or whatever, and then someone asked the question to Phil Spencer. Obviously, he's on the spot. He has to answer it, but he's not going to proactively come out and say, "We reckon." I think it is a timed exclusive deal. Because if it was an oversight on the architecture or the pipeline, then I think they would publicly talk about it and take ownership. Like, we hear your feedback, we're working on it in the next dashboard update or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But the fact they're doing this, they don't have really all the details to talk about an exclusive deal with other platforms.
Yeah.
They would have been blindsided for a start. They're not privy to that info. It's between Capcom and PlayStation.
Yeah.
And obviously, PlayStation don't consider themselves in competition with Nintendo, as they've publicly stated, and PC is an open forum for everyone. So this does fit the mold for a timed exclusive. Well, an exclusive. I don't know even if it's time, to be honest with you.
So are these games coming out on PC?
Yeah, they're on Steam.
That's weird because I looked on Steam Deck for Marvel vs. Capcom.
Oh, it's not out yet, though.
Oh, it's not out yet. Okay.
No. It's slated for 2024, so anytime between now and Christmas, it's going to come out.
Okie doke. That might be where I end up picking it up on Steam Deck at this rate.
Yeah. Yeah. I might
buy a Steam Deck OLED. Asus ROG Ally X, maybe, I don't know.
Well, I want to see, now that Phil Spencer's practically confirmed the handheld, I want to see what that looks like. So
yeah. Fair enough. You've got a MetaQuest 3 to buy first, anyway.
Oh God, Christmas is going to be good this year.
Right, just to finish off the PlayStack section, just to let the guys know, I don't need to talk about Rocket League, but you can get the Cybertruck.
Yes.
Elon's Cybertruck right now, and there is another associated story in the news section, which we'll get to later on, surrounding that, and you'll just shake your head.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, I mean, you can pick it up free, but you've got to, interestingly enough, they've made the Cybertruck, so I thought I completed the quest to get the Cybertruck, but they spaced it out over the course of a whole month. So you've got to keep logging back in and do these challenges in 3 parts to get the Cybertruck for free, or after that cycle of getting it free is complete, you can buy it. I'm going to try and get it free. I just log into Rocket League and play a couple of matches a week.
Interesting.
But I do want it, because that's actually one worth getting. And you can get the Cybertruck also in Fortnite, but we'll leave that for the news section, because it's bent a few people's noses out of shape.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Oh my God.
Modern Warfare 3 was shadow dropped onto Game Pass.
Yeah, it certainly was.
Mere days ago.
It was. And I have to say, one of the things that's going to be super unique about this segment as well is that myself has not touched a Call of Duty game since Black Ops on the Xbox 360.
The original Black Ops.
Yeah, the original Black Ops on the 360. So I'd kind of grown tired of Call of Duty a long time ago. The nearest I got to playing another game was World War II. I popped that in, tried to play the campaign for about an hour, and I was like, this is scripted to anything. Didn't even see what multiplayer had to offer then on that particular title. But I get it. I totally get now why the ABK deal happened, why it's so important. And I was, go back a few episodes, I was like, is it that many people care about Call of Duty?
Yeah.
Once you go into this,
it hits you.
And this is coming from someone who has not played a Call of Duty game for a very, very long time. You know why they spent so much cash to get this deal done, because it is just incredible. I don't even know really where to start on this. First, that Shadow Drop came out of nowhere. It's got people totally amped for obviously Black Ops 6, and is getting people into that ecosystem who's never been, perhaps similar to myself, who was grown tired of a series that's rebooted itself, which is always one of the things I just like, just keep, if you brought out the 15th, 16th game, just keep a number on it. Instead of confusing us further, like Xbox systems name conventions can. But wow, I mean, just what a difference. And you go into, I think we should open up, perhaps, talk. How do you want to approach this? I put a bunch of bullets here. One of the things will be to discuss its nearest rival, which its nearest rival really is X-Defiant at this point. But I don't know whether to open up with that or talk generally about the experience. It's because at one point I do want to talk more in detail about the matchmaking, because we've, on day of record, very interesting white paper has been released.
Yeah.
About how Call of Duty does matchmaking, and I've got a very big theory on where a lot of this whole X-Defiant tribalism all comes from.
Yeah.
And it seems abundantly clear why that is now. So where do you want to go on it?
I want to start with the why, actually, which is a bit of a unique take. So I think I speak for everyone when I say that we were already pleased with the fact that Black Ops 6 is coming out in, when is it, October or September? I forgot the date, actually. but not far from now.
October, I think.
October, three-ish months, 4 maybe, from now, which isn't far. We can wait.
Yeah.
We're rattling off. But why was this shadow dropped? We know that Modern Warfare 3 was probably the weakest one out of the stack, only for the campaign. It was a very short 4 to 5 hour campaign. But then I got thinking about it. Microsoft has an earnings call on July 30th. And was Game Pass suffering? Did they need to push Game Pass subs up by a certain amount? Because if anything's going to do it, it's this.
Yeah.
I don't think this was planned. I think they needed to get numbers to please stakeholders and shareholders.
Oh, really?
Up to a certain amount. Yep, because on July 16th, they announced the earnings call, Q4 earnings call for July 30th, which is 4 days from the date of recording this podcast. So we will see what Game Pass subscriptions look like. But rumor has it, they have skyrocketed overnight because of this.
Really?
They've had people scrambling for their credit cards and deleting stuff off of their hard drives as well. I being one of them.
Which you
because
have to.
this is a 200 gig game.
They should bring out an external SSD that is Call of Duty themed, that is about 230 to 250 in size, and that is just,
just COD.
It's just COD, and it's all preloaded to a degree or something.
Release an SSD in the shape of a handgun with a little USB port on the bottom of it that you just connect in. It looks so cool. No, but this so that's the why, I think.
Yeah.
Now, Modern Warfare 3 was the first one I haven't bought because I was just spending a lot of money on games recently. Had the reboot. Vanguard, great, I loved it. Not a lot of people did. Cold War, love that too. Modern Warfare 2, it was okay, kind of died down for me. Modern Warfare 3, I thought, well, I'm not going to pay $70 for a 4-hour campaign. I'll skip it this year. But I haven't played the campaign. But the multiplayer, especially coming off of the back of X-Defiant and my 30-minute play of Splitgate, is second to none. The multiplayer, they do it so right. It's amazing that I don't play a Call of Duty multiplayer for almost 2 years. And the first sort of 3 games, when I get my bearings again, I'm already hitting sort of the top 3 in the leaderboard at the end of the match. I'm like, yes, this is what online gaming is about. You shoot someone, they get hit, they die. There's no getting killed when you've passed the round the corner where there's no line of sight for your bullets to.
Yeah, there's no cross-continent lag.
No cross-continent. Attachments and weapons all feel different and unique. There is ways to kind of traverse this map. Even when when you're playing not even an online game, but just any FPS, you sprint, it's a very consistent speed, right? You see the arms sort of running in front of you in the camera. With Call of Duty, and I don't know exactly when they changed this, but when you're sprinting, you feel you
feel the weight.
It's not a constant speed going forward. It's like you can feel when the leg or the foot hits the ground, there's a slight push and then it slows down till the next leg hits. So there's like a motion going. So you feel the heft, you hear the heavy breathing kicking in, and then you're trying to reload. One thing that X-Defiant did, I liked it, but you can kind of say it's a little bit cheap. They allowed you to reload while sprinting. Call of Duty does not. So you've got to think, do I want to get out of a dangerous situation by sprinting, sliding, jumping, whatever? Or do I want to reload and try and tackle the situation head on? So it's it gives you options. It gives you a lot of ways to play this game.
Oh, 100%. And I think on top of that, what they've actually done with this Call of Duty HQ, which is like a layer on top of any base game that you download, has been a bit of a revelation. I'm pretty sure Halo tried to do this with Waypoint, but they've not bolted it directly on to the games that they brought out, to the ecosystem. And what they've done here is essentially pretty much done what the Master Chief Collection has done, but better, in the fact that they are rolling in this whole ecosystem where you can traverse between different games if you've got them installed in one seamless place, building these hot playlists to go where the activity, where the buzz is. So, for instance, I think that what was the map? There was a specific map that Bait that came out recently.
24/7. Yep.
Bait 24/7 and Yard 24/7. A couple of really, really nice maps in there. And it probably takes a slight adjustment if you've not experienced this for the first time, but it's very easy to Well, it might take you a little bit more time to figure out when you reach level 25 and you can unlock the armory where that is. But otherwise, navigationally,
Yeah.
it all made sense.
I'm going to go as far as saying it's better than Breakpoint's menu navigation.
Oh, easily.
But it's still a lot to take in.
It is, yeah.
Especially where do I find stuff? But yeah, go ahead.
Well, there's so much stuff, and I spoke in last week's episode was about has the Fortniteification of Modern Warfare, has it gone too far? Well, now I've settled in that ecosystem. I don't think it has.
It complements.
I don't genuinely think it has. I think it's arcadey enough. This shooter, it's not trying to, be too overly realistic. I mean, you can see it from some of these maps. That the only criticism I would say about some of the play in Call of Duty is how some of the spawning, and it doesn't happen every game, it might happen 1 in every 5 maps, where you'll spawn and all of a sudden you get spawned in a location where you're shot within a second. It tends on these really small maps.
The small maps, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Where there's no space really. So that's something that can be forgiven because that's not a map where you're going to have a real competitive game on. It's one of those maps where it's like, oh, let's just have some carnage and chaos and blow shit up. And that's what those maps are designed for.
But you were having a lot of fun with the perk system, and I mean, you see the footage that we've got here. I mean, it's a good thing you recorded it and not me, because I haven't unlocked the cruise missile. I haven't unlocked whatever's above that.
SAE.
The SAE. But it just felt like a real brought together. And just some of the maps on this playlist, because they were saying that, this Modern Warfare 3 really is the best collection of maps all brought together for this particular game. And just seeing the fact it's got Summit from Black Ops on the 360, I was like, wow, what a wonderful sort of homage back to that particular game. And I'd say 8 out of every 10 maps that I've played so far, but I don't think I played all the maps, so definitely not played through all the maps, but 8 out of 10 tend to be decent. There's a couple that are a little bit like, have they thought the design through? Or it could just be that there's a couple of maps in there that are more tweaked towards people that like to play sniper, and we were just getting picked off and it was annoying us. I don't know.
But that's okay. I mean, that's okay. You're not it's not for everyone. There's going to be something for everyone. But the good thing is we've got the voting system. And if I remember correctly, there is a way where you can set which maps you want to play on. There's like a setting somewhere you can say, I like these 5 maps, but these 5 maps don't ever suggest them to me in a playlist. And so and that's what I like about Call of Duty. So you go onto the quick play tile, me as the host, and what does quick play typically mean? It finds the first game that you can put you and your party into and just go. Well, Call of Duty takes it a step further because I want to just jump into a game, but I don't necessarily want to play or run the risk of playing capture the flag. So what you do is you go into the quick play settings and you can say, I only want to play kill confirmed, team deathmatch, free for all, maybe domination. So you select those 4, remove the other 10, and when you hit quick play, it just cycles through the 4 that you like. And I think that's such a genius idea. It's such a simple thing, but it's just a very quick way of getting into a game with your party. And I like the fact that I don't have... One thing I hate about XDefiant, whenever I wanted to make a modification to my player or weapon, I'm fighting against time. Because once it finds that lobby, you go into a loading screen and you get pulled out of the customization menu. Then you've got a few seconds to go back in and quickly finish off whatever it was you were tweaking, by which the game's already started and you've already gotten killed once. So, but Call of Duty is a bit slower paced. You've got a few minutes to go in there and really tinker with what you want. And it makes meaningful difference. If I put a scope on there, I'm going to see and feel differently on that gun.
Oh, it feels different, 100%.
Yeah.
I found that a lot of these maps, it's actually a disadvantage to whack a scope on your gun.
Yeah.
I was really surprised at how much of a difference that made, just to get that, that delay in time between pulling the extra weight up of that gun into the iron sights and to get that, that target on, made a huge difference. And yet there are maps there are a few maps that we've played where actually having a scope on it probably would have been the better option to have taken.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point of creating all of these different maps. And I don't even think we scraped the surface of all of the maps that are on there at the moment and the game modes, because I know there's a few in there. I think there's a couple of modes. Like there's like a mini game mode we've not even touched yet. We've not touched the zombies. I know it's not your particular bag, but I'm kind of interested to see how it works in the open world environment. So
I'll give it a game or two. Yeah, I'll give it. There's people that, and this is what's interesting about Call of Duty. There's people that will only play multiplayer. There are people that will only play zombies. There's people that may not even touch the campaign. I'm the opposite. I love the campaign first, and then I'll jump into the multiplayer. Zombies, I'll play a couple of games just to say I've played it and got my money's worth. But really, I don't enjoy it because I find that the challenge is too brutal for a payoff that I don't really see a point of. But I think it was Black Ops 4, going back sort of 5-6 years. I did end up having a really good game of zombies with an old friend, and we got up to level 115 or something, like something ridiculous. We were just on steroids on that game, just constantly. It was insane. It was like a Roman Colosseum type level or something. I don't know what it was. Yeah, it was interesting, but that was a fun game. One of the very few fun zombies experiences I've had. But this game really is something for everyone. And the question I have, I can take an educated guess on this, but I'm going to throw it out there just for someone in the comments to kind of confirm it or not. Now that we've got sort of all of the modern Call of Duty games showing up in this one package, right? Because you can go back to, I think, the original Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, in this executive, menu system.
I think it takes you back to MW1, and then before that, there's a legacy tile, but I think you jump off into that game.
So the question I have, because I own Modern Warfare 2, 1, Cold War, and Vanguard. If I have those installed, do those maps end up in the rotation in multiplayer?
I don't think Cold War and Vanguard does. I think Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3 do.
Interesting, okay.
But I would love to see them actually bundle it all together.
Because
now Call of Duty HQ could do that.
Right, because it's all under one application, If it's all under one application and you've got it installed, in theory, why not?
Yeah.
That
makes sense. And you'll be surprised. I mean, I go back to probably going back to like Rainbow Six Vegas again, because it's it was a game that really caught FPSs for me. But it would just really annoy me if I didn't have the maps. I was like, I've got to buy these maps. They might not even come up in rotation all that much. But just having access to all of those maps, like for instance, right now I can on Modern War, as far as I can tell, at least, Nuketown ain't going to go and show up in this version.
Even though they're different development teams, they're still owned by the same company. So
do you think they'll ever merge? They'll merge all of this together, even on the Black Ops side?
I think Nuketown could very well be one of their break in case of emergency options. Right, the day the numbers start dwindling and there's a pattern of, okay, we might be nearing the end of this boat ride, hit that emergency button. We've added Nuketown to everything. All versions of Nuketown. Christmas, Halloween, day, night, you name it. 2035. 2035, the past. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you've got so many options now that they're all kind of combined. The stats, the weapons, the skins, Heck, we haven't even talked about Warzone. That's a thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've played back when Warzone was a standalone app. I played a few rounds of it. I don't think I gave it enough of a go, but I was more into PUBG.
Well,
for the Battle Royale, as clunky, or it's a lot better now, but
yeah.
As clunky as it was, there was just something about that which felt more tactical than the way Warzone did it. Would you have a game of Warzone with me? I know it's not you. I know Battle Royale is not really your bag, but
it's not my bag. But if there's ever a game of Battle Royale I'll play, it's absolutely a Call of Duty one, because I know they'll do it well.
Yeah.
So I'll absolutely give it a good hour session. See if it's something that's grown.
Because I know in Warzone you get the armor plates that you can add.
The armor plates.
To kind of regen yourself a bit.
Frame rate's good, which was a massive problem in PUBG.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's interesting. What's been your favorite maps that you've played so far?
I knew you were going to ask me that.
I've got a few on here. I've got Rust.
I haven't memorized them. Terminal's a classic.
Yeah.
I do have fond memories of that and playing
I
Terminal
was really amazed with Terminal, actually. I thought it's just going to be the airport. No, you can go outside.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's like an airport map
You can go in the
Rainbow
plane.
Six Siege, but this is like 3 times the size.
No, you can go in the plane. You can go through the cabin, which is really interesting. Terminal's a classic. What was it? The fishing one again? Bait. I really liked.
Yeah.
I think I said this to you during the game, and I was like, that actually looks like a place I want to go to in real life. I don't know why. I want to walk around and have a look. Well, oh God, what other ones were there? You might have to remind me here.
Summit was obviously a classic from Black Ops, so I really like that.
I liked Favela. Favela's a classic for me as well. Greece was amazing. I really enjoyed Greece.
Oh, I didn't include that. That is, I hope I get more rounds on that because there's so much. There's so many different ways. I mean, you've got the flanks, you've got down central, but on top of that, you've got the waterways that you can jump into, swim under, bridges, and there's so many different ways to try and dominate the field on that map.
Yeah. And then, of course, I think it's called Rust, where you've got the structure, the oil rig sort of structure looking thing in the middle of the map. But that's one of those maps that's small enough that you spawn and you're getting shot within 5 seconds of spawning. So that really is luck-based. But yeah,
I do like it when at the very furthest right-hand side of that map is a little cubby hole that you can prone under.
Yeah.
And it seems to be, I mean, if you were to, I don't know whether you can get heat maps on Call of Duty to see where players run around, but to me it feels like it's an area that people don't go, and you can go under that third rivet and just, well, I managed to stay alive for nearly 2 minutes under there, just picking people off. So that's what I like about it. And another thing, what I will say is, even though you die quicker, I prefer whatever it's either called hardcore or bare bones, where there is no tac map. It's pretty much 1-2 bullets and you're dead. But because they can't see the kill cam, because they can't see where you are on the map, it makes that
frustrating.
well, I kind of like it, because if you're someone who likes to scamp out somewhere and you're more of a run and gun player.
Yeah.
I'm more of, sometimes I like to kind of set myself up somewhere, get a couple of kills, then move somewhere else rather than continuously having to move. So that's probably why I like that a little bit more, because I always think, I wonder if there's something I can do with this terrain that almost, that map that was weird last night we played, that kind of like an ethereal other world, you could prone in the high grass. And your average person running around, unless they were paying attention, they wouldn't have known you were in that grass. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was called Spore, that one. It looks like a Half-Life map. The only one I can think of off the top of my head that I didn't enjoy, and I don't know the name of it, but it was like a container ship that was kind of half sunken at an angle.
That sucks.
Yeah, I didn't care for that one too much. It was the navigation. It wasn't fluid. I didn't feel like I had a route that I kind of followed, which is something I tend to carve out pretty quickly in an early game. I find my route, I know what works, I kind of figure out, okay, a lot of people tend to hide here or pull around this corner, all guns blazing, so I didn't get that with that map whatsoever, so it didn't really gel with me.
No, I had that on, I'm assuming, unless that's just the general size of the map, but I had a domination game on that map, and it was just complete and utter chaos.
Yeah.
It was, respawn, you're dead within 300th of a second. I think the average life of a player on that particular session was no more than maybe 1-2 seconds.
So let me ask you an interesting question. And now that we've gotten Modern Warfare 3 on Game Pass, if Xbox were to tell you that Black Ops 6 was releasing next year instead of this year, but it's not going to be on Game Pass, are you now convinced that this is worth a $70 purchase? Or is the one that's on Game Pass now just enough for you?
Well, considering I haven't dipped for such a long time, I would say it's probably enough for me. And not only that, I don't think it sounds to me like the Black Ops story is a slight continuation in some degrees, and I've got to go through wherever that starts. Like,
I'll be honest with you, it continues, but it's not one of those things that I ever find myself saying, "Oh, I need to go." Nah. Nah.
But I did like what they were doing with Cold War, with that Gorbachev. I remember playing the demo experience, and it was like, holy. And at the time it came out was just before Ukraine-Russia war kicked off. And it was like everyone was thinking, well, this timing of this is just impeccable.
Whoa, and now we've got Saddam Hussein popping up and Colin Powell popping up in Black Ops 6. Like, you know, there's a lot of...
What's going on here? It's the Simpsons all over again, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. You're not wrong whatsoever. For the average casual Call of Duty player, I can absolutely say, see them saying, yeah, but Modern Warfare 3 is more than enough. There's tons of stuff to do. There is another element of Call of Duty, though. There is that peer pressure element as well, which I can only imagine you get from FIFA. It's like, what you're going to get on the next merry-go-round, but everyone's moving to it. And even though it sucks, or it may not, you're like, oh, all my friends are going to be there. It's going to be a good sesh. I'll have a good month of gaming while I jump into those parties. So there is that element as well that, from historical experiences, you get probably a good month in the beginning once it launches where everyone is online. Everyone. And you all jump into those parties. Oh, it's going to be a great time.
But it is going to be on Game Pass, though, isn't it?
But yeah, exactly. So this is going to be on Game Pass. So we're going to see our friends list, and I think I'm up to 200 or something on my Xbox friends list now. 99% of people are going to be playing Black Ops 6 on day one. People that don't buy it normally.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting, and we're going to have the greatest... We've got to record one of these sessions and just get...
Well, I think we should start streaming on Twitch, to be honest, but
Yeah, Let's just quit the day job first and...
well, if we just have a, see, you never know, you might get a couple of people viewing and build up a bit of a library on there.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit conscious of time, so I'm going to go over this SBMM versus Legacy thing as quickly as I can. But my theory on this, because there's this whole... Right, one thing I will say right straight out the bat, it is obvious to me that Ubisoft has gaming influencers who are basically getting, whatever, to do stuff and talk about XDefiant. Whether these be pro, esports players or whatever, they've obviously been told to back this game. There's no doubt about that in my mind. But then you saw this cross-section happening where it was like, we hate skills-based matchmaking, it ruins the game, etc. Players should be... We should be able to play people that, if you're not good enough to play the game, etc., etc. This whole debate. Well, the people that are saying that, to me, it's abundantly clear, they've ranked up so much that they're now getting match made with people with similar abilities, and that feeling of them just absolutely slicing and dicing people all the time. It's almost like they're yearning for that moment where they feel godlike. And that's why they loved XDefiant so much when it released, because of that
unfair pairing.
Because of the pairing. Now, we've had a white paper release from Call of Duty today about what they've been doing with matchmaking, and they said, look, you take SBMM out of the equation, and you're seeing like an 80%. So the likelihood of a new player or someone who's lower ranked dropping off playing this game is a staggering 80% if you take SBMM out of it. So, and I think they've been doing some tweaks and dialing that, one in every whatever matches, these higher ranked players will get lower ranks come up into their playlist. We've seen it where you've got 160, level 180, 300s we've seen in a couple of matches that we've played. So it's not consistently happening, but by and large, they try and dial in the matches to make it in such a way that you're playing amongst people that are of a similar ability or at least rank. I mean, the opening to level 50 at least is up for debate because people are naturally different. I mean, I would say you average about 2-3 times the amount of kills I do on a round per round basis. So there's a degree of until it doesn't balance itself out to true ability, I think, until you get over level 50 or something like that. But I think that the way they do it, I mean, they can complain all they want. But to me, it just seems like that's why there was this big outcry with it. And I think they're just lusting for that ability to feel like they can, do, 40, 50 kills in a single X-Defiant match and only die a few times, or, they can get that KD ratio like super high because they're facing people that are just, could be brand new, fresh to the game and just these random matches. But that seems to be what we're seeing out of this white paper is increased quit rates the moment that you don't try and personalize this experience.
Yeah, I've always said this. Skill-based matchmaking requires more work to implement, to code, to configure the servers, and also you need to have the audience there. Without the audience, if you start doing skill-based matchmaking and your audience of 10 players can't match because one of them is on level 100 and the other one's on level 1, then, you're never going to get matches. But Call of Duty is fortunate where they built up that audience of billions of players. They can do that. But at the same time, it's also, in my opinion, the right thing to do.
Yeah.
If you've, like, for example, we joined just yesterday, right? Modern Warfare 3 for the first time. And yeah, admittedly, in the beginning, it was weird. We had one guy who was level 500 and something. And I was like, well, this is a bit weird. But strangely, I managed to kill him a few times. It didn't feel like I was at a really big disadvantage. I mean, you've heard me scream playing X-Defiant. Nothing about those matches felt fair. Not the netcode, not the weapons, not the power-ups, nothing. Nothing felt fair, consistent. Nothing felt like, oh, I understand to the fullest extent how this works.
Yeah.
But in just 2 hours of playing Modern Warfare 3, everything made sense. When I died, it felt like, that was my fault. I didn't, you know what I mean? He got the drop on me. You know what I mean? Everything felt understood, fair, meaningful, made sense. So for them to say, oh, we're going to prime our game on not having skill-based matchmaking, I'm sorry, that's just lazy. That's an excuse.
It's a cop-out.
It is a cop-out. You need skill-based matchmaking. If I were to, you're not, it's fair to say, I'm not a football guy gamer. You're not a Street Fighter player.
Yeah.
If you were to jump into Street Fighter as someone who never plays the game online, what would you rather play against? Another level 1 character or a master?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And same with me. If I were to play FIFA online, or FC, whatever they call it nowadays, I want to play someone who's as crappy as me because I feel like it will be more of a fair game, not someone who can run a ball around me 20 times before they score.
Yeah. Well, they go on to say something very similar on here. It's like, well, the argument is that if you play much higher ranked players, you will get better through the experience of losing. But if you're getting absolutely rinsed and you're not having that chance to actually improve your ability,
again, that's a lazy answer. If that truly was the case, you'd give the player the option. Throw a big splash screen when they start the game. Do you want to face off against skilled people or someone who's going to kick your ass? Let them choose. This is just lazy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So that was. It just seemed very interesting that came out on the day that we recorded. But no, I totally agree with him, and I do think this is largely in part where this conversation all came from.
Yeah.
Because now they're not getting, that. It's like they're trying to fulfill that hit that they first had when they played a fresh Call of Duty game. Yeah. I bet you when a new Call of Duty game comes out, you won't hear about it for the first 6 to 8 months. And then the conversation will probably come up again.
Well, where I noticed it mostly was because obviously on Nintendo Switch, you've got your gamer profile, but it's not tied into, achievements or anything like that. What I used to notice it really badly on was Ultra Street Fighter 2. You'd get people who clearly have created new gamer profiles because it gets to a point where they couldn't beat the top tier elites, or there was no one good enough for them to feel a challenge anymore. They create a whole new profile, obliterate us sort of in the lower to medium sort of ranking, and just start all over again. But
happens in Rocket Leagues, except in Rocket League, people sell their high rank accounts for some weird oddball reason. But it is what it is.
Get your money.
Well, that wraps up our segment on Modern Warfare 3. We're going to rattle through the news segments that have come out this week. I'm just going to come straight off the bat in an order here. And I really hope, please, Bethesda, reach an olive branch out to the guys that have made Fallout London, the free mod that is available. It released yesterday as of record here, and it is sweltering with new content. It's like a Fallout game within itself. Totally free, no purchase required. All you need is a copy of Fallout 4 to get this thing on your machine. And from what I've seen of it, it looks absolutely fantastic. New story and setting, set in London. It's 160 years after the bombs have dropped and 40 years before the events of Fallout 3. There's 200 quests, 20 factions. I mean, there's tons of content in this. You're watching the game trailer now, right?
I'm going through the screenshots, and I'm like, oh, wow, this really is a revamp.
Yeah, this is not like some,
Big head mode
little project. This has been in the works for a long time. There's new weapons, there's new items in there, a bunch of new gameplay mechanics. There's an extended dialogue system allowing players to make choices that affect the story and shape London's future throughout it. There's companions and different boroughs throughout. I mean, just it being in London obviously would pique our interest, right?
Oh, yeah.
And do you know what's super interesting? There are 7 companions, 15 boroughs in the map, and even John Burkow, former Speaker of the Houses of Parliament, is featured in this game.
That's amazing.
His voice is in it. So please, Bethesda, you obviously brought mods into Starfield. There's mods in games, obviously, across your collection on Xbox. You've got to allow this to be brought to Xbox, please. So this is a whole new lifeblood for Fallout.
Yeah, so I mean, you made a good point. So mods are enabled in Fallout 4.
Yeah.
So why would this one just not show up in the mod store on console? Is it so much of
I think there's
reverse engineering that it's not, even though it's called a mod, technologically it's not a mod, it's kind of like a whole replacement?
So from what I read, there's specific instructions of getting this onto your system. So if you bought the Fallout 4 Game of Year edition, you have to roll back to a certain version of Fallout 4 in order for this to be able to be installed. So I think there's just some complexities there in order for it to be able to go on. So I think they might have to directly deliver some package or they're going to have to work with Bethesda to get it done. But it makes no sense for Bethesda to... I mean, this is probably the biggest, most expansive mod that's been created for any Bethesda game by a community. So for them not to support it wouldn't make any sense at all. And I'm really hoping... the thing's chunky enough to be a game of its own right. So I'm really hoping it can find its way. Well, that would be superb.
Haven't Bethesda hired ex-modders before? I think that's kind of how a bunch of their staff actually got their jobs. They made such impressive mods that they ended up just hiring them, which is not a bad little gig, to be honest. If there was ever a game developer or publisher I'd work for, absolutely Bethesda.
Yeah. Well, they've unionized recently as well.
That's exactly why.
After that, so yes, make it happen. Someone set up a petition or something. It would be, well, I mean, I guess I've got the Steam Deck. So if worst comes to worst, I can pick up Fallout 4 for the Steam Deck.
Can you mod files on a Steam Deck, though? Do you get access to the Windows Explorer?
Yes.
You do? Ooh,
well, it's technically running on Linux, but yes.
Would this run on Linux?
I don't know. I need to look at the... Yeah. I did ask or pose a question to someone.
If you've got to go into the folder and move files around and rename
you can go to the... you can do that, but I don't know whether it's got compatibility for Steam Deck yet.
Interesting.
But if it is, that's one way, I guess.
Yeah, I love it. It set a nice precedent, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Moving on. I've just got to give this guy... wow. I mean, just unbelievable.
Go on.
Redemption arc, we've talked about it before. Sean Murray.
Based on a true story.
I mean, he needs to be celebrated at the Game Awards at some point at this rate. because this is again this is a huge update for No Man's Sky, because they worked on their new game and they thought, look, we've got all of these graphical enhancements now, and we're bringing a complete graphical redesign to No Man's Sky free of charge. New biomes, new creatures, new fauna into this world. There's a brand new bug hunt expedition in it. I mean, they've already released, I think it was like over 12 packs of free DLC for this game, and they keep going. And I don't even think he's done, because he called it part 1. It's incredible. Sean Murray is incredible. It's a guy that he's a gift that keeps giving.
He needs knighthood. Give him knighthood.
What a redemption arc, though, from those missed promises back when this game was fully announced. And this is still the only game. Okay, Star Citizen technically can do it, but I still think No Man's Sky does it better than any other game, that you can take off from a planet and actually go into outer space without a cutscene. The more I see that, I've got to get in before this game dies off. I've got to go into No Man's Sky at some point.
Whoa, it's got co-op now, so maybe that'll be one of our backlog games.
We're gonna have to go into No Man's Sky.
It's on Game Pass, I think. Hang on.
It is on Game Pass. I bought it outright. I was like, I've got to buy this anyway.
Let's have a
look. Just incredible. I mean, that is just. I mean, I know Cyberpunk had a redemption arc, but No Man's Sky just pushing it the envelope. I mean, if there was ever, I don't think it's, you're not going to see this beaten anytime soon.
No.
But yeah, I mean, you wonder how they're making any money off. I mean, people would have got to a point where they were like, we're quite happy to pay for this stuff. You've released so much free stuff. Do some DLC that's paid, please. Keep yourself above water.
Yeah.
But it's free. It's incredible, and
it's
it looks
on Game
great.
Pass.
And it looks great as well. I don't know if you've seen the trailer, but
no, they've definitely
it does look beautiful.
Up-resed it for the new consoles. I mean, this came out on the PS4, so
yeah,
we definitely got a few generations.
Well, we might have to stack that one on somewhere around about. Well, if we're going Crime Boss for episode 9,
we're gonna do 10.
Maybe we can do No Man's Sky for episode 10.
That's a big upheaval, that one.
That is a big chunky game.
But thankfully, space-wise, it's not as big as Call of Duty, so we could probably squeeze it in somewhere.
Yeah, I'm going to have to keep Call of Duty on one specific console, I think. So I think we're going to keep it into this one where we're recording. So that's that. And fresh off the bat, Soul Reaver.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly a leak happened. And the original Legacy of Kain I and II Remaster is going to happen. So the logos for this unannounced game was spotted at a Comic-Con San Diego show, and it looks like they're bringing out a bunch of figurines to celebrate the release. These were classic PlayStation 1 titles.
Or PC
and PC.
Yeah.
And they were well up there with like Shadow Man.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like they're going to be making a return. And it's been and the fact that they're remastering this, it would be interesting to see in which way. Are they going to do it in that Lara Croft collection way? Or are they going to do a full head-to-toe, revamp of this?
If they're saying remaster, it'll probably be closer to the Lara Croft collection rather than a remake. Yeah. But the fact that Crystal Dynamics are doing it, that's a very nice touch.
I don't remember. I played the first one. I don't think I ever played the second one.
I played one of them. I don't remember which one I played. It was a good game. It wasn't something I ever got super into, but it is one of those ones that people have been asking for years. Give us a Soul Reaver remake or a remaster. Let me buy it today,
Yeah. And there seems to be a graphic novel prequel coming out. 2 for those that are into graphic novels, but I'm not, so I don't really have a vested interest in talking about that for 1 second more. So as we mentioned earlier, the Cybertruck has found its way into both Fortnite and Rocket League. Wow, it appears that a few people that work at Epic Games do not like that because of Elon Musk's political views.
Oh.
So here's a couple of quotes from some of these users that got bent out of shape. So it says, Here's one of them. Reminder that number one, voting with your wallet works and the sentiment on social media is a tangible factor. Number two, companies are composed of lots of different people with their own unique opinions. And number three is that truck looks fucking silly and the CEO of that company is a piece of shit.
I love it. The second quote in particular. Companies are composed of lots of different people with their own unique opinions, yet you have an issue with somebody putting a truck in because he has a different opinion with you.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense at all.
You know, it's like, oh, I'm understanding and, liberal, but only when it aligns with things that I believe in.
But this is how unhinged that some people are getting this. This is like Hogwarts Legacy all over again.
Yeah.
That they are now, people are playing this game online and targeting anyone that drives a Cybertruck to basically gang up on people driving the Cybertruck in the game. I mean, it's just stupid. Where the world's on fire and you're worried about that kind of rubbish. It's just pathetic, to say the least. And this is a guy that spent a ridiculous amount of money on basically buying Twitter, so actually you could have some semblance of actually know what's going on in the world properly.
Yeah.
To the detriment of probably, well, apparently it's break even now, but it just drives you mad.
Well,
I thought we got to the end of this.
It's not even adding to the
still
fact that the man's created tens of thousands of jobs worldwide.
Yeah.
Contributed to the economy, whether you agree with it or not. He's not exactly sitting there blowing people up on the other side of the world, like most politicians. But hey.
He's making people that are paraplegics, giving them mobility again. All of these implants and stuff. I mean, this is cutting edge. Some of the stuff that Elon is doing is cutting edge.
When the war in Ukraine started, it was Starlink that kept Ukraine communicating.
Yeah.
So,
But none of that matters because Cybertruck's in fucking... It's in Fortnite.
It's here to stay.
Stupid. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Don't like it. Well, tough.
Don't use it. It's simple.
Exactly. Splitgate 2, well, we talked about Splitgate earlier, has been given a 2025 release, and the things that perhaps that you didn't particularly like when you did play it are going to be addressed because it's being developed on Unreal 5 engine, and there's a couple of veterans that worked on Halo have now joined the dev team to bring out this new release coming next year. Now, I get it. You're not particularly all that 100% enamored by Splitgate.
This I am.
Right, okay.
I am a huge fan and believer of Unreal Engine 5. So the fact that this has been made in Unreal Engine, I got a feeling it's going to completely overhaul the game. It'll just be a different game with the same name.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I just wanted to bring it up because I'm, other than the experience of Modern Warfare 3, and obviously having that nice little honeymoon experience with X-Defiant, I've not really played any, FPS games other than Splitgate that have really, took my attention. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to the sequel. The fact that you have those abilities to make those portals is, and you can play a playlist without them, but just some of the stuff that you can do acrobatically when you set those portals up right and traverse, and there's some real smart stuff. And there's no other game that does anything like that. And that's the beauty of it. It's very unique when it comes to that. And there's that familiarity that of playing a Halo game, but then that as an added dimension. And I just think you're going to get that gloss that it couldn't do with the original. And that might step it up. It might feel a little bit more like a Halo Infinite multiplayer experience with all of the added sizzle that you get with these unique playing parts of Splitgate.
Do we know if it's going to be free to play or if it's going to be a paid release?
I think it's going to be free to play again.
Even better.
Yeah,
that's how you get people.
So I'm looking forward to that. Speaking of which,
do we have a free to play Unreal Engine 5 game yet?
I'm not sure.
Don't think we do. That's an interesting one.
Possibly not.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, if you did want, because I spoke to you, well, I don't know if I had it on my games list, but I definitely spoke to you about Valorant. I played the closed beta of that. Well, it's going into open beta as of today, at time of record. So I'd be interested to get your thoughts of it. I didn't get on with it. I'd be interested to see what you think of it. Maybe if you can find an hour before our next record, just to give it a taste,
Yeah.
and see whether you feel it's a completely different experience for you. But
I'm down. I mean, it's a super popular game, and
yeah,
if it was bad, people wouldn't be playing it.
yeah,
It's up there as one of the big esports games, so I'll definitely give it a try.
yeah. I just think maybe it's just not my type of FPS playstyle, perhaps. But yeah, I'd be interested to see how you get on with it. And then last two stories here. Should we do the PlayStation Portal one quick?
Oh, this is tantalizing stuff. This.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the PlayStation Portal came out with a big fundamental flaw in the fact that it didn't have like some default, easy public Wi-Fi accessible way of being able to take that thing out of your house and make it be usable. There was like no browser-based portal connection to connect to public Wi-Fi. So it kind of made it redundant in a lot of use cases. Well, it seems to be that they have now made an update in their latest firmware patch that addresses some of that, with additional support being added for some 5 gigahertz public Wi-Fi networks, which is, again, why is it only some?
Probably they don't support any of them that don't have a Sony router or Sony chip or anything, and it's probably something silly like that.
I don't know.
Well, this was a big flaw in the Nintendo Switch initially. I don't know if they ever fixed that.
They did, because I was playing on Southwest trains.
I remember during that launch year, maybe even 2 years, you and I used to work at a particular job together, and I could never play it on the job's Wi-Fi because there wasn't a browser page that would allow me to put my username and password onto the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, they've got around that now, because I used to, when I was travelling back from when I had to start using the trains again, I'd play Rocket League whilst on the train Wi-Fi.
how was that?
It was actually playable.
Is it good though?
Well, not versus playing it on an Xbox, no. I mean, I was still scoring goals, but pound for pound, any game on a Switch Lite,
It was passable.
it was passable. It's not the best experience. Even you can now. I mean, I find it really hard to go back to the Switch Lite now because the screen's too small.
By the way, side note, I'm really looking forward to the Switch 2. Really, I wanted to get the OLED, but considering it was only a screen upgrade and the visuals were exactly the same, I said I'll skip that because I've got a launch model, and that thing, I don't know what happened.
Same.
My analog sticks have melted. I don't know if it's the heat here in Vegas, but the rubber coating has like all melted, and it's like permanently sticky for some reason. Even though I've washed it, rubbed alcohol on it, I think the chemicals have kind of surfaced in the rubber. It's weird.
Wow.
But there is a growing number of games that have been piling up on my Switch backlog, my mental Switch backlog, that is, that I'm just saying, nah, I'm not going to touch them now. I'll wait till the new hardware's out.
Yeah.
Because, I do miss the portability of
I'm
the
still
Switch.
kind of surprised we've not heard anything yet. And we knew that they were obviously stopping they were delayed it because of component shortages.
No, they did make an announcement a few months back. It was an official announcement on the Japanese Twitter X account. I forgot. I think it was the president of Nintendo, and he said, "We are announcing it." I believe he said at some point this year they're announcing it for a release next year. That's all he said. So he said he called it the Switch successor. So make of that what you will. I hope they call it the Super Nintendo Switch.
That'd be cool.
That'd be amazing. Stick to the branding, like really go in for it.
Yeah.
I want the device to look a bit more sleeker as well, because the first one was a bit too plasticky and bendy.
Yeah.
Spend a week at Apple, they'll show you how to do it.
I just hope I know they obviously want that beautiful price point. I just hope they do enough of an upgrade. Like, if they could take it to Series S level,
see, I'm happy
I'd be happy.
I'm happy to pay more. I don't mind, because you got to remember, we made a massive deal when we found out that the original Switch was a 3-hour battery. The whole world broke down. 720p, only 3 hours. What the hell, And I'm completely okay with if they even manage to stick to 3 or go 4 or 5 hours. But give me a 1080p on portable. Give me full 4K docked. Give me a lot more storage space. The 32 gigs was junk. But make those controls a bit more I think they focused a little bit too much on the portability rather than the ergonomics, because that was the harder thing for me, was those buttons were a little bit too small. I don't think we need to worry too much about detaching the controllers and, you know, giving one to you, giving one to me so we can play on the same screen. I think that was a nice little gimmick. I'm not too sure how much in practice people use that, though.
Did that portably? No, probably not many people.
You're right. So if you... And I think they proved it with the Switch Lite. I wonder what the Switch Lite numbers are, because you can't detach the controllers. So if you...
I think the Switch Lite numbers are pretty decent.
Right. So if you stick to that kind of, you know, approach, build the controllers into the screen. That way you save a bit of space and you can actually make the buttons a little bit bigger. A little bit more internal space for a bigger battery, perhaps. But no, I'm really looking forward to it. I thoroughly enjoyed the Switch. I think they're onto something. And I really hope, actually, that Xbox take a page out of Nintendo's book with their handheld. I don't know how much they're going to dock into the TV using the handheld. But if I can pull my library between my 2 or 3 devices, my Xboxes, I think that's good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I just really hope that they have decided to finally hang up this accelerometer usage. Things like, it's like, yeah, we've seen it, we've done it. There's not really much else you can do with it.
We played 1-2 Switch, yeah.
There's just, you know, focus on what you're good at with these really amazing, colourful experiences.
Yeah.
You've got an amazing JRPG library. I don't think they need to do any stuff. We've seen it all before now, and we saw that they compromised on accelerometer quality on the Switch because of the size of that controller. That none of those games ever played as good as the Wii ones anyway.
Yeah.
So,
just having a very quick look here, and it looks like the rumor is the Switch 2's visual graphics chip is going to be based on NVIDIA's Ampere technology, which is a very modern architecture. So it's possible that it will be based on that instruction set, but it will be underclocked to save battery. But allegedly, according to Nintendo, the battery life will span somewhere between 5 to 9 hours. Now, I don't know how legit this rumor is.
Well, that would be best in class if they managed that.
Yeah, but apparently the GPU will support DLSS, which is a huge deal. And for those that don't know, DLSS will take a very low-resolution game and using some AI trickery on the graphics card can actually upscale the resolution without hurting, you know, the bandwidth and resource that it has or lack thereof. And Cyberpunk was a big user of this technology to make lower-end systems, make the game look better than it can actually handle. So I think that's marvelous. If they can figure that out, then we'll stop getting games like Resident Evil be cloud only and actually have them natively played on the console. Very excited, happy to pay, you know, upwards of, you know, upwards of $400. I could do $400, $450 even. But yeah.
Needs a strong launch, bunch of titles as well, hopefully.
Well, they haven't had a Mario Kart on this generation. I mean, we had Deluxe, but that doesn't really count, does it?
No, not really.
They threw everything the kitchen sink at that game.
And the DLC packs were literally
rehashes,
pretty much rehashes of tracks already.
Yep. Mario Kart 9.
I'd love to see a fresh. You know me, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. Give me a new F-Zero and a wave race, and I'll be happy.
I'll take that. I think if we get a new Mario Kart launch title, we only had Mario Odyssey. It's been very quiet on the flagship Mario game front, and did we get Metroid Prime 4 in the end?
I think a new Metroid did get announced at the last
announced, but did we see anything?
There was some gameplay. Yeah.
I think Digital Foundry was saying, "Hold on, this doesn't look like current Switch technology." So they may be showing an early preview of what might be to come. Oh, and that's it. A Tears of the Kingdom tech upgrade as well, because that game ran horribly on the original Switch.
Yeah, they might just do a rehash of that.
Yep.
Anyway, last story, guys. I'll let you lead with this because you know a lot more on this front.
Yeah.
But, Interesting.
Recently was leaked that apparently there's a new Xbox controller that's apparently set to be released in or around August 2024, according to a reliable insider, of which the name is never revealed. It's believed to be blue and transparent, which sounds awfully similar to one of the early iMacs, if you remember those things in 1999.
Yeah.
And allegedly, it's going to be revealed on July 31st, which is in about 5 days from now. Again, for an August 2024 release, which is interesting. And it also falls in line with what leaked during the Xbox FTC trial. So if you remember, there was a bunch of documents uploaded to the FTC portal, but they weren't redacted. And the whole world got access to these documents because it's a public website. And we saw the new controller, currently dubbed Project Sebile. There's some interesting points on this. They have this, kind of this sort of 3 or 4 pronged approach for this controller, and they've branded these as ubiquity, immersion, sustainability, and approachability. And ubiquity is an interesting one because it's got this play anywhere tag, and the way it kind of focuses around this prong is that it's a direct to cloud connection controller. Now, why is that important? Well, Xbox is doing a lot of cloud gaming lately. They recently announced the Amazon Stick app. And in order to reduce latency, it looks like they're going to take a similar approach to what Google did with Stadia. And instead of having the controller connect directly to the local device, it goes straight to your Wi-Fi connection and straight to the server. So you're cutting out a lot of overhead, improving response times, and hopefully getting a better overall experience. But at the same time, not neglecting other users, local users. So it's going to come with Bluetooth 5.2, so that should hopefully make for a lower latency connection to your local devices as well. A new mobile app apparently as well. I'm just trying to, let me blow this screenshot I have here from the lawsuit. So apparently you can pair it with local devices as well as cloud devices. It's got precision haptic feedback, which is the PlayStation 5 DualSense already has. It's got an accelerometer. It's got quieter buttons and thumbsticks. I personally don't have an issue with the loudness of the thumbsticks, to be honest. But hey, there's that. Big emphasis on sustainability as well. Recycled materials, repairability, disassembly, rechargeable and swappable batteries as well. Durable, reliable, improved longevity, continued.
Got to get that ESG money. Yeah.
That's it, yeah. And continued build improvements. And this is an interesting one because I hear a lot about stick drift, and up until recently, about a week ago, I just thought people were whining. Well, it just so happens I've just experienced my first stick drift, and it's on the brand new-ish Starfield controller. My left stick keeps pointing upwards for some reason. It won't go away.
Oh, no.
Tore it apart last night, gave it a good blow around, didn't work. I'm going to order myself a can of compressed air and see if that will do the job. But I've reverted back to my series, my Elite Series 2 controller now. Not a bad controller, but slightly bigger.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting controller. They've also taken some cues out of Nintendo's Pro controller. So they've got lift to wake, which is what Nintendo have done. So you just pick it up. No longer do you have to hold that Xbox button in. It just apparently turns on. And it's allegedly got the same ergonomics as Merlin. Now, we don't know what Merlin is. Was that a code name for another controller that's already been released? Or is it another controller coming out at the same time? Very interesting there. But it's got the same layout and activation forces as well. So in theory, it should act and feel like your current Xbox controller, which is good because Xbox controllers are dubbed as the best controller in the market, despite how you feel about the console and their business practices. So there's a lot to look forward to. It looks like they're addressing a lot of the issues which people have had problems with when it comes to this controller. I think really all that's left to understand is this an Elite controller? Or is this replacing their standard controller?
Yeah.
And if this is their standard controller, well, what's left for the new Elite controller? Because clearly there's some features here that the new Elite, the current Elite doesn't have. So maybe that's Merlin. Very interesting. I don't know yet, but...
Could be the Elite 3?
Series 3, yeah. Well, either way, July 31st is 5 days at the time of recording, so probably be 1 or 2 days after you listen to this. If it does launch or get announced, it will definitely be in our next episode for us to discuss and see how on the money we were.
Well, it'd be interesting. I've noticed that they've shied away from doing any internal mic stuff, which I guess is to save battery.
How do you feel about that? I wouldn't mind an internal mic if I'm honest. Sometimes...
No, I like, there's certain games that I play on the PlayStation that having that speaker on there, it just adds something.
The speaker, yes. I love that speaker.
Even when you hit the posts in FIFA, you can hear the clanging of the posts come out.
Oh,
there's plenty of playful ways they could use it.
The best one I've experienced so far is GTA 5 on the PlayStation. Every time the police are chasing you, the sirens come out of the controller instead.
What did they?
So it's like another dimension. Yeah, so it's really cool how they've done it. Super low res, but it works. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. I'm surprised they didn't. Maybe there might be a patent as to why they've not done that. Maybe
possible. But who knows? Maybe this is an old prototype. Maybe it does have it. Maybe this is something that they've put out there to throw people off. Who knows? Who knows?
Exactly.
So I'm eagerly looking forward to that. It'll give the current generation a little bit of a new lease on life. I think part of the excitement about gaming consoles is, okay, yep, you get the box, but it's not the box itself you're touching. It just sits there. But the controller's the thing that kind of melds the worlds together between you and technology. So having a new controller on existing hardware will definitely feel like a new lease on life.
Oh, definitely. I come across my Gen 1 Xbox One controller the other day.
Oh.
And I found how disgusting the shoulder buttons were.
Yep. It was like
disgusting.
1 millimeter of button travel.
Oh, it was so bad. Yep. It was so bad.
I remember those.
Glad I have to go back to that and go back to that old ecosystem. There's a few people that still love the fact that Skype was on there.
I take it or leave it. I mean, this is all courtesy of Dom Matrix, so his legacy still lives on through this podcast at least.
It does indeed. Speaking of that, that's a wrap.
Yeah.
It's thanks for joining us and
like his career, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. We'll be back in the next couple of weeks, guys, and until then, enjoy your gaming, and we shall catch you guys next time. Bye bye.